Hello and welcome to our channel, Pleasure for Health. I haven't made a live video here for a while, so I thought I would come on and talk about something that has come up recently in my practice. And I currently work with folks as somatic practitioner, a body worker. I also teach yoga and exercise classes. And so we put this all together in a way that helps us get more in touch with ourselves. All of the ways that we can do that. And so, one thing that I noticed recently with a client who came in was he asked a question, actually, he made a statement. He said, I don't think I'm very good at loving. I don't think I'm very good at loving. And I kind of was surprised by that question because it seems like, there's most of us have some way of loving something. And I was like, what is he really getting at here? And it was interesting because we started to dive into this, and what became apparent was that this person was a firefighter, he was a first responder, and so many of his interactions over the many, many years that he's been doing that kind of work has been with people in a trauma state, like in a very stressful state, where you're having to deal with something. I need to get this, and this happening to save someone's life or to save a building or, just to manage what's happening. And this requires a certain part of our brain, a certain part of our body. We kind of have to turn off our curious open-mindedness because we must get things done and it needs to happen. Step one, step two, step three, and move forward. And if anybody has done a first aid course, that's kind of how it's set up. We're learning step one, call for help. Step two, come up to the body. Step three, make sure they're not asleep. There's particular steps you do. You don't approach the person with curiosity and openness. You're approaching the person with a particular protocol. And I think this is really valuable, obviously, in an emergency situation. And in many situations, having the ability to compartmentalize, to put everything in order, a step-by-step approach is really helpful. And that probably reminds you a lot of using computers or using AI. We come with a question, it gives us the next step, we do the next step, then we go to the next step, and this kind of systems thinking. And this kind of systems thinking is not very conducive to loving something or someone because love is not a step-by-step process. I mean, you could argue that, but just the idea and the feeling of loving something is not something that you can go, okay, step one, think warm thoughts. Step two, touch the person. Like, it's not like that. And I think this is part of the reason why so many relationship and intimacy coaches, we spend time talking about the how to, do this, slow down, touch your partner, take your time, put the lights down, ask them what they want. Like, there's a whole bunch of steps. And to a certain extent, that gets you so far, right? It might get you actually physically closer to your person. It might get you interacting in a consensual way. You might be able to negotiate what you're going to do or a certain contract or how you're going to, go through a scene together. But it's not actually the experience of being in love or loving. And that ability to kind of open your awareness, your kind of sensory gating channels, if you will. You're opening that up so that you're just aware of being present with someone else or something else. If you're loving a tree or your dog or your partner, you have to kind of open to just being with them. And you've probably heard this quite a bit of people will talk about being present. You're not present. And that's a similar thing. Like, what does that mean? I can sit here, I'm listening to you, I'm taking in what you're saying, but there's a different quality to presence when you really feel seen and heard. And that is kind of similar to when you really feel loved. And so I thought it was a really interesting place to start. And I was like, how can you help someone experience love? Um, and how do you potentially teach someone how to do that? And I don't think our school system or our education is really set up that way. We don't really teach people how to go with wonder and joy and curiosity and just be open to something and kind of wait for something to kind of occur to us. It's a very different perspective than how we kind of go through life. So, this is a very different brain and heart state. And I don't have all the details of that, but I know it is in my embodied experience. It's a very different state of being to be in this kind of gestalt. I'm open to being present with you, to loving you. I'm just going to see how we show up with each other and what I'm drawn to and what I notice and the feeling and the energy and the touch. And when you touch me, I see color, like all of that beautiful, loving togetherness that we might call intimacy and pleasure does not happen when we're in that brainwave state of step 1, step 2, step 3. So when I had this client come in and ask me this question, it really raised something for me to think about as to, okay, you know really well how to do the step-by-step thing. How do we get you to open up to this different brain state? And part of it is, I think, feeling that you can, right? Giving yourself permission to go out of the step-by-step normal everyday routine that you could say, and actually allowing yourself to be in that more expanded, slow down time kind of state, that we're safe enough, that I don't have to jump up and deal with anything. There's no crisis. There's no alarm going off in 5 minutes. We have a certain amount of time together. We're safe. We're, in a great place. I feel okay. I'm not super hungry. I'm not needing to go to the bathroom. Like, all of our sort of physical needs are calmed down, and we can just focus on being present and being loving and curious about the person we're with. So a lot of what I end up doing with clients is really just being with them. And sometimes it goes in directions I never expected to go. And it may not go very far at all. Like, it's not about the getting somewhere. And it's not about, well, if you teach me step 1, 2, 3, then I'm going to be able to be in, love this person. It's not about that. It's about being together and seeing what emerges. And often there's emotions there. This person cried. They shared with me memories of, past things that just arose out of that more open state. And that really did feel intimate. I mean, we weren't being intimate. We weren't touching. We're not, he was having a session. We weren't intimate in any other way other than just being present with what's coming up in the moment. And that was the intimacy and the joy of being together. And that, if you're with your partner, could go in a physical way, and it might just go in an emotional connection. You might have a moment of enjoying a sunset together. There's just many ways to be love, to be in love, to be loving, and just noticing. And so I'm also really excited because I'm going to be doing a writing class this fall on the art of noticing, which I think is really touching on this same idea of how do we slow down and open ourselves to just noticing what is there, like loving what is there. Anyone who has really studied something intensively, knows that you get that focus and you're just so engrossed in it. You could just stay there all day. It's so interesting. It's like you can't stop doing it because you're like, oh my God, I have to do this. If you've ever been in the flow with that kind of a hobby or a job or anything that you just love doing it, you could just be there all day and it's just so interesting. That's kind of the being in love thing. So being with a partner where you could just be with them all day, you could just get engrossed in their fingers or their hands for the, for the next however long it takes, that kind of idea that it's just you're so curious and interested and present, and it's so interesting to you that you want to know every kind of experience, everything about them. So, this is something that I'm toying with, but I just really thought it was important to put out that different take on brainwave states, and also, how we are in our heart, and how much time we give ourselves to get used to that more expanded, open state. So I would just, give a suggestion to you if you're interested in working more towards that, even if you haven't got a partner, or you don't have anyone to be intimate with. You can do that with the world, right? You can go out for a walk and just notice a little flower coming up in the crack in the sidewalk, and just really take time to notice it and love it, like, oh my gosh, you've got a little leaf that's, how did you sneak up past that particularly jagged crack? Oh, you've grown leaves more on this side because the sun comes on this side. Oh my gosh, how beautiful you are. You can't help but loving it when you start looking at something that way. And just to notice, and maybe you take extra time with your food, you take a bite, you're like, wow, this, I know I can taste where this came from. I can taste the love that I put into it when I cooked it. I put it together, all the colors, like everything's coming at me, and I can just savor and love the experience of tasting the food. So we can be in this loving state much of the time if we choose to, but I would say start with just little doses of it during your day, and you'll find it really refreshing to your mind and your body and your spirit from doing this very much systems thinking in order world that we're in now. You'll really enjoy kind of getting into this more expanded, just, I'm gonna see how I experience this thing. So let me know how that goes in the comments. I'd be curious to see what you found to be in love with or love, and how it goes with being more loving. And if this makes sense to you, check out my other videos, like and subscribe my channel, and I will talk to you soon.